Hello, you're listening to ReedyGeeks, a Walt Disney World podcast. My name is not Andrew, it's JJ. I know this isn't our usual introduction, but I felt the need to put a little disclaimer before beginning this episode because in the time between recording this episode, November 12th, and its release date, Disney made a ton of really important announcements that basically affect everything in this episode that we discussed. Namely, the future of Rock and Roller Coaster and the location of the new Monstropolis / Monsters Inc. land. They're both discussed at length in this episode. If you're not aware, it was recently confirmed that Rock and Roller Coaster is going to be rethemed to the Muppets Electric Mayhem Band, and that the new Monstropolis land will be located where the Muppets currently are. This means that Muppet Vision 3D and the surrounding Muppet-themed locations will be closing to make way for the Monsters Inc. themed land. This does include the highly anticipated Doors suspended roller coaster, restaurants, and even a show directly in the theater where Muppet Vision currently stands. This is a really bittersweet announcement for me. I'm very sad that Muppet Vision 3D is closing. It's a staple of Hollywood studios. But the idea of Monstropolis, the Doors Room roller coaster, seems really exciting, and the Muppets will still be featured prominently in the park. So it's a little bit of a silver lining there. Ultimately, we decided to still release this episode because we had a lot of fun discussing this. Playing Armchair Imagineer is always great. And there's even Mouse Kings that's affected by this that's also at the end of this episode. So let's just see how wrong we were. And I wonder if any of us have already won Mouse Kings or we're close to predicting what a good decision for updating Rock and Roller Coaster might be. I guess we'll see.
Hello, you're listening to ReedyGeeks, a Walt Disney World podcast. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined today by Dr. Seeker's assistant, JJ.
That's a pretty good job. I mean, it's going to end pretty soon. I'm going to be on unemployment.
And nickname hater Sean.
Roger that.
If you have a good title for my co-host after listening to this episode, please send in your ideas to reedygeeks@gmail.com. In today's episode, the Geeks take a seat in our Imagineering armchairs to fix Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith.
Here we go. Soar into tower. We are ready for takeoff. Look alive.
Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith opened in 1999 as part of Disney's ongoing effort to bring more thrilling rides into the parks. This attraction was Disney's first indoor roller coaster that had high-speed launch and synchronized onboard audio. It featured Aerosmith's iconic music. However, after several decades, it kind of needs a facelift. What do you guys think?
I think we're going to talk about things needing a little more than a facelift. It's maybe a whole new face.
Yeah, I think it does need a new face
I think we
of
need
the attraction.
Dr. Oz in here to do a little more than just, a little lift here, a little lift there.
All right, well, let's get into it then. So if you were the Imagineer in charge of fixing Aerosmith, what would you do? Sean, what would you do with that?
I've had this idea for a little while. I think there is a Disney movie that is very misrepresented, a more recent modern movie. There's very little character representation in the parks. You got to go almost out of your way to find this character. And I think the movie that they could put in here very easily is a movie called Big Hero 6.
Oh.
I think that the indoor dark roller coaster fits perfectly for that movie. I don't necessarily have a story kind of fleshed out, but I think that you can keep a lot of the track and a lot of the ride vehicle the same, but incorporate that movie, whether the setting is the laboratory or the setting is the
setting's definitely the laboratory,
or like where the villain is in like the shipping container area. I think that Big Hero 6 is a movie that I have to imagine eventually we're going to see a sequel of. It's nothing that's going anywhere. I think they're going to do a lot more with it. Plus, isn't in an area in one of the isn't San Francisco?
Yeah, it's a new area in California Adventure.
Right.
The what was just like a Pacific War food court is now fully San Francisco overlay.
So I think there's representation of it better in other parks. I just think that movie is hurting for something in a world where we're forcing IP from every movie into every nook and cranny of the parks and the resorts. I think this is a movie that needs some severe representation.
Yeah, I really like this idea.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
I totally can see the pre-show being in the lab, and you need to go somewhere in a hurry, and instead of a limousine theme, maybe the whole ride vehicle is like Baymax that's taking you for a ride through San Francisco to like escape some sort of danger or to save the day. I really like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, what would you do for theming for the land though? Like Sunset Boulevard,
I think Sunset Boulevard is kind of, you can either look at it one of two ways. It's either dating itself, like it maybe that needs a facelift as well, or it's just so classic, iconic MGM Hollywood Studios that you don't need to change.
That it doesn't matter what.
It doesn't matter what goes there. It can stay there, and no one's gonna think it's
as long as Tower Terror is.
Tower Terror is the focus, and also I mean when you're walking down Sunset Boulevard, you have to go around a corner to really see the building of Rock and Roller Coaster. You're not standing looking down the street outside the Starbucks looking at the Tower of Terror. You don't see the Rock and Roller Coaster building.
You could be entering a new land there.
Yeah,
so easily be entering a new land there. That whole courtyard that is that radio station and the recording studio that you're walking into for Rock, that could all be San Francisco.
Yeah.
You could walk in, turn that corner, and that could be a whole different place. That doesn't have to be Hollywood themed or Sunset Boulevard themed. It could be you could transport yourself into San Francisco there. I totally buy that.
Yeah. Well, what would you do, JJ?
Okay, so I am, I guess, maybe doing less work as far as I'm still gonna keep it being called Rock and Roller Coaster. However, the band is changing, the faces are changing, and the story is gonna be more immersive throughout it. So it still looks like a recording studio. You still walk in, it's still called Rock and Roller Coaster. However, the main band is now Weezer instead of Aerosmith. And in 2003, Weezer had a music video for their song Keep Fishin', and it featured the Muppets.
Yeah.
Great song, great video.
Great video. And I think that this is a marriage that's been in the works for 22 years. And that Weezer and the Muppets and the Electric Mayhem Band should be coming together to do maybe a show at the Muppet Theater, like a one-night only show. Maybe they're trying to save the theater, something fun like that. And the fact that it's still in a recording studio, that it's still this, you can drop all these little Easter eggs from the old ride in it. Mm-hmm. So you could have like Kermit and Scooter are like trying to organize the show. They would be like the agent or the talent manager from the original one. They kind of play a similar role, telling them, "Oh, you gotta go." Maybe Kermit says, "Oh, make it a super stretch limo." Like we're still taking a limo to the show. It's still kind of the same premise, but it's a complete refresh and way more themed throughout it. Maybe Janice from the Electric Mayhem, because she's got like the lips and kind of looks like Steven Tyler. At one point says, "Wait a minute, I love that idea."
Yeah, that would be funny. That'd be good.
And I just think Weezer's got so many great songs. Buddy Holly, Keep Fishin', The Good Life. And I think all of these songs, I actually would even love it because Weezer has some, like, they've released a lot of covers. They did a cover for one of the Cars movies. Their cover of Africa is very popular. So they're not strangers to doing covers. So maybe they cover an Aerosmith song.
Right. One of the songs you could get.
And
would
I
be a
mean,
cover of
a
Bohemian
cover of
Rhapsody.
Weezer did the
Aerosmith song.
entire. I mean, Aerosmith and Van Halen are very different, but they did the entire album. I forget what it's called, but it was Weezer. Van Weezer.
Van
They did an
Weezer.
entire album
They played a whole
in
Van Halen
the
album.
80s style of playing. It was awesome.
Yeah. And I would imagine that all these songs would be Weezer and the Electric Mayhem Band. So there would be Muppets in the music, singing along. And I believe that the premise of the show should be that Animal is missing, and we have to find him and get to the show. So there would be onboard audio while we're navigating, going to these places, looking for Animal, trying to make it to the show on time. And I'd love it if when you get to the end and you get to the break run, there's another little scene that just puts a little bow on the whole experience. They say, "Oh, we did it." You see maybe an animal animatronic on the break run, where you're sitting there waiting for your turn to get off the ride instead of just sitting there being like, "Okay, we made it," and then you pull up.
Yeah.
That there's a little bit more story there, and then maybe even when you're getting out and you make it to the station, you hear Fozzie is like telling jokes and trying to stall for time so that the band can make it to the stage on time. And you hear him like just completely bombing. And then you get like him announcing Weezer to the stage.
Yeah. Okay.
And at some point, you have to hear from Statler and Waldorf.
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
as you're getting off the ride,
Maybe that's the getting off the ride is Statler and Waldorf and not Fozzie Bear bombing.
or they could be like above you, maybe as you pull in to the. They're like,
And they're like just on a loop telling all these different. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be funny.
That would be funny.
Yeah, Statler and Waldorf are excellent.
So I love the idea of more Muppets. I mean, Muppets in the parks, that would be great.
I mean, they could announce this, and then they can do whatever they want at Muppets 3D.
Yeah.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I mean, this would be a good idea if they were getting rid of Muppets 3D.
Or maybe you move Muppets 3D to where that Lightning McQueen show is.
Right.
And
right.
this is like Muppets Studio
Yeah.
in the corner of Sunset Boulevard. The Jim Henson Studio.
Now you're talking. That's the best idea you've had all day.
Interesting. Really good. Weezer is tough. Are they relatable right now?
They're okay. Was Aerosmith
relatable?
In 99?
Well, I mean, they did
like,
just
they
have
were-
the song from
Aerosmith, Armageddon.
Armageddon. They did
Yeah.
just have the song from
Yeah.
Armageddon.
But, like, I
they
mean-
were a legacy act,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
would say that Weezer's the same. Weezer's got some song. Rivers did that song with AJR. Weezer's put out albums recently.
I mean, most of the bands that we listened to in high school are legacy acts now. You think
Yeah.
of like Weezer, Green Day,
And
Blink-182.
if I'm looking at bands that make sense to replace Aerosmith, I think Weezer works in a theme park. They're a little cheesy. They're a little dorky.
Yeah.
No, they're
But
definitely
they're-
Disney-esque. Like, yeah.
Even though some of their songs may not have like lyrical, like they might have to change a lyric here or there because it's a little too like sexual, not like sexy, but like,
suggestive.
right?
Little suggestive, okay.
Some
They definitely have songs about drugs and partying and
Yeah.
sex and
that mention those things, not that it's like overtly sexual. So like you can make Rolf sing a different word.
Right. And I do like that you could, like you said, to have the Muppets band in there.
Yeah, the Electric Mayhem Band should be part of this.
So like maybe you really only need Rivers, right? Like maybe you don't even need the rest of Weezer.
But I
in the
think
pre-show.
we should do the rest of Weezer a favor and have them in it.
Yeah.
I think that's a disservice to the rest of the guys in Weezer.
Well, I gotta say, I think I like both of yours better than mine.
and that'll be the end of the episode.
Is that the honest send off? I think I like both of your ideas better than mine. This week's honest send off comes courtesy of Andrew from Long Island.
I had two ideas I was going between that aren't completely fleshed out, but just like, an overall idea. And that would be to either one, turn it around, turn the entrance to Rock and Roller Coaster around so that it's going more into the launch bay, and make it part of Monsters so that when you put in the Monster Roller Coaster, you also have another ride in there.
Kind of the way they did Toy Story
okay.
Mania.
Kind of like the way they did Toy Story Mania, because I know they're going to put they're only going to put two rides in that land, and I hate lands that only have like two rides in it, right? I think you need three.
Yeah, I guess, but what does Aerosmith have to do with Monstropolis?
No, it would change to like a Monsters, but I guess it would be a second Monsters roller coaster.
Right. So you're retheming it completely too.
It would be a retheme completely, yeah.
Maybe it would be about maybe it would be at Monsters University as opposed to Monsters Inc. being on the scare floor with that roller coaster. This one would be more about something more related to Monsters U, maybe the scare games or something. From that. Yeah,
and I guess there's you can have two roller coasters in one land. Like there's no rule against that, especially if the Monsters roller coaster they're going to build, which we think is going to be more family friendly. Yeah. So like this could be the Thrill coaster that's in that area.
Right. I mean, Space Mountain and Tron are right next to each other.
Right.
So why not?
Yeah. My other idea was to if they're gonna keep the villains show in where what's it called?
Oh, where Lightning McQueen?
Where Lightning McQueen is, then retheme it to some type of villains. But I don't really like that.
Because we're gonna get villains.
Before we got a villains land, I did think that Rock and Roller Coaster switching to like a Cruella de Vil car chase.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But that's not where Villains Land is going.
Yeah.
So since Villains Land is not going to Hollywood Studios, I think you're right.
And I don't think that show is going to stay there for that long. I think it's supposed to be a big box, like a big black, what did it say? A big black box or a big open box where they can choose. Yeah, they can change the show at whenever they want. So it's probably only going to be in there for a short period of time anyway.
I also think they are beta testing how much people like certain characters to see how much they need to push forward some of the characters that are maybe on the bubble for how much involvement and how Mother Gothel, do people love her or do they just want her to be there? Does Mother Gothel need a big moment on a interactive big ride? Does Mother Gothel need like a special something, a statue of this? Like, how much involvement do we need to put to her? Well, let's put her in this show, gauge some audience reaction, and see what villains move the needle and what villains are important to showcase.
Yeah, I think that's a good point there.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I like both of yours better than mine. And I wish we could combine both of yours, right? Like, I wish that it could be like a Big Hero 6 and be part of the courtyard. So like you take a little bit of my idea of turning it around and facing the animation courtyard and make animation courtyard.
But maybe that's how
Big
you
Hero
get a
6
bigger
land.
San Francisco is you take the launch bay, you take from the launch bay and you change the entrance of that, and that makes enough space to make San Francisco.
Yeah, but then that means Monsters is going in your Muppets Vision 3D.
It could still take Indiana Jones stunt show.
Yeah.
Or Star Tours.
Yep.
I mean, there's a whole Star Wars land and there's still Star Tours over there. So I don't know. There are plenty of places it could go.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
All right. Well,
you hear that, Bob? There's plenty of places it could go.
You sure about that?
So did we fix it? Did we fix Rock and Roller Coaster?
I think two of us did.
Yeah. Well, I was going bigger. I'm fixing Hollywood Studios, okay?
Well, that's a whole different episode. How do you
That
fix
is.
Hollywood Studios? Oh my gosh. That's not going to be a mini episode. Okay, guys, you got time for a little game?
Sure, why not?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, guys, I got a little game for us. It's a repeat of a fan favorite of ours specifically. Maybe not to the listeners. It's called Mouse Kings. You might have heard of it. Does anyone need a refresher on any of the rules to Mouse Kings? I'm going to read a series of prop bets, and we will discuss how we would bet on them.
Should we do a quick recap of odds? What odds mean?
Yes. Yeah, let's Andrew, can you give us a little brief on what, say something is plus 200? What would that mean?
Yeah,
so-
Andrew, you're good at gambling.
No, I'm not. I'm very bad at it, actually. So we have odds go with pluses or negatives. So what plus means is that you need to wager $100 in order to win that amount. So if it's plus 200, I need to wager $100 in order to win $200. So my payout would be $300. If it's negative, that means you have to wager that negative number in order to get $100. So if I had negative 200 odds, I would have to wager $200 in order to win $100. Basically, if it has plus odds, that means it's less likely to happen. And if it has negative odds, it means it's more likely to happen, so you get less as a payout.
Okay, good job.
This podcast does not condone gambling in any
Never touch the
facet
stuff.
or
No.
being.
I wouldn't go so
No.
far as to say we don't condone it.
I would definitely go so far as to say we don't condone it.
Boys, watch your manners.
Yeah, if you can't say something nice.
Boys.
Okay, guys. First prop here, and this is for Andrew over here. Jollywood Nights has tickets available on December 7th.
I want to go so bad.
I mean, you're there. I know you are because on the MDE app, I see that you're going to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas
on December 6th. Not to
know.
dox him, but yeah, I can see that too.
So it's the very next day.
I could go,
You can run
but-
it back to Jollywood Nights if tickets are available. Are they?
They are available. I'm guessing they're available.
I feel like we just confirmed that they were available.
No, well, I don't really know. I don't have any idea.
I would say they are available.
Yeah.
They're available.
Yes.
I feel like that setup was intentional for you.
Yeah,
We didn't
you
even
guys-
give odds to that.
What is it?
I-
That's at
these
Hollywood
are even.
Studios.
This will be even
It
odds.
was even odds. Okay.
Yeah.
That's Hollywood Studios.
Yes.
What is it? What is a Jollywood ticket cost?
Oh yeah. Oh, that's good.
I think it was 179.
Oh God.
But it replaces your park access for the day, so it's the same as it's the same as a 1-day ticket, really. And it's I don't know.
It's so expensive.
But so it replaces your 1-day ticket. But if you have an annual pass like me,
it's
even
here's the
worse.
thing. Here's the thing. It almost doesn't replace your 1-day ticket because if you want to trick yourself, this is like the Disney dining plan. If you want to trick yourself into thinking the value's worth it, you have to extend your vacation to allow for a day of nothing where you're going to the park at night. And what are you doing during that day of nothing? You're spending money on other stuff. You're going shopping. You're going to Springs. You're going to resorts. You're
so it's like
resort
a
hopping.
double- you're right. It's a double.
You might not be spending $180 to go into the park, but you're not twiddling your thumbs in the hotel room all day.
well, you could be in your pool.
You're spending money that day before you go to the park at night. So it's not.
Oh, like
it's not
your
completely-
resort, your
right. It's
resort.
not completely canceling out what you would spend on a resort that day. You're still spending more, and that's why this a crazy extravagant price to get into these holiday ticketed things kind of drives me nuts. I think I don't know. I think they should offer guests who already have tickets for that day some sort of add-on bonus, some sort of add-on special where it's like if you want to come for the night and you don't have a ticket that day, it's $179. But if you have access that day, maybe it's $100. or $109.
But then you would be spending $150 for the ticket that day, and then another $100.
But I think the vast majority of people don't necessarily have the time and the budget to expand their trip to allow for the day of nothing, so they're double dipping anyway.
So
I actually think this is a better use of your time because the crowds are so limited at these things. These rides are walk-ons.
yeah, and you could, instead of going to Hollywood Studios, like you were going to go to Hollywood Studios anyway. Well, you just go to the
Jollywood Nights.
Jollywood Nights instead. Like I think it absolutely takes one day, one for one, a Hollywood Studios day.
But the point is not whether it takes one for one. It's the point is that it's replacing it price wise.
Yeah.
And it doesn't replace it price wise if you have to expand your day another night in a hotel.
Well, why are you doing that?
But how do you not?
Because you were going to go to Hollywood Studios anyway.
If you were going to go to Hollywood Studios during that trip, you would just take that out and replace it with that day.
But also that I guess that depends on how many days of park tickets have you already bought.
Right. So once you get to 5 days of park tickets, your price per day goes down, and so then it's not a 1-to-1. You're right. Then it's not. But if you're there, let's say you were only going to go into parks for 3 days, there is like no discount on 3 days.
Yeah.
So then it could be get a 2-day instead, and Jollywood. Yeah, it's not a perfect 1-for-1, but it's going to be for what you get. I think it's actually a pretty good value.
If you compare it to a 1-day ticket.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not if you're comparing it to, do I add a 5th or 6th day at the park, or do I buy this special event? Then it's a little too expensive.
Or if you have an annual pass like me,
right.
I mean, then it's just
throwing money
It's
away.
just throwing money away.
And again, you can see him at Mickey's Very Merry on December 6th. Say hi.
Will this episode be out by December 6th?
Yeah.
He'll be the guy
okay.
wearing the backpack with 2 popcorn buckets hanging off either side.
Yeah, this
In a Mickey golf hat.
And Very Merry? That's a good question. Will I be? I'm going to have to really consider that.
He's going to be in a full Santa Claus costume. Okay, my next one. There's currently a lunch reservation at Narcoossee's for 4 people, also on December 7th, because we're just playing with
What are your odds?
Is this like true or
money.
false, or what are we doing?
even money.
Yes. Is there or is there not?
No, there's not. It's not for 4 people. It's for 2.
No, I'm going to say 4 people. Most tables are 4 tops.
You're saying yes?
Yeah.
1 yes and 1 no. No is correct. There are no reservations at Narcoossee's on December 7th.
All right,
Currently.
Sean's up 1. We have to keep track. Otherwise, what are we doing here?
Okay, I'm going to take us to... Now, note, there is a very merry Christmas party going on right now at this second.
Okay.
So that will maybe affect how you feel about the lines and the times of things. Is Soarin'... all of this is even money. Is Soarin' over or under 30 minutes?
I'm taking under.
Right now, I would also go under.
You are correct. It is a 15-minute wait at Soarin'.
All right. So Sean still has 1 up on me.
Okay, staying in that park, is the line over or under 40 minutes for Frozen right now?
I'm going to go over.
I too am going over.
You're correct. It's 45 minutes.
All right. So Sean is still 1 up on me.
And then last one at Epcot, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, the over-under is 50 minutes.
Under. Don't waste your time.
I'm going over.
It's over. It's 65 minutes.
All right. Tied.
65 minutes for that ride.
Although, are we going to know any of these answers or any of the next answers? None of them are live, right?
No, I've got 2 more live ones for you.
Oh, okay.
We're going to move over to Hollywood Studios. The line for Tower of Terror, over or under 40 minutes right now?
I'm going to go over.
Going under.
It's under. It's only 30 minutes right now.
It's 2.
Last one, The Rise of the Resistance, over or under 60 minutes?
I'm going over.
I'm going under.
It's under. It's 55 minutes. You guys are good.
Wow.
Okay, and to wrap it up, I've got some futures. We won't be able to know these until later. So maybe someone that's more of a historian can remind us when this news comes out, who's winning or losing these bets.
Okay.
We're each going to pick one of these, at least one of these, and that will help decide the winner of this.
Okay.
Okay? So the very first one is we find out where the Monsters Inc. roller coaster is going before the end of the year. I don't think that's very likely. I put that at plus 400 odds.
I think it's important to say that it's November 12th right now, right? As of recording. So
Okay.
Yeah, I would say no shot. I think Disney news for the year is
I understand that. Most of these are of this same thing.
What
So I'm going to
is
force us each to pick one of these.
what is the expected opening date for the Monsters Inc. roller coaster? Has that
I
even
don't
been
know.
announced yet?
But they're telling us that they're going to be working on it in 2025. So we got to find
Working
out.
on it. Okay. Well, what? Right.
We got to find out sooner or
Eventually,
later.
we're going to be finding out. Probably sooner. Right. Sooner rather than later. I think we know where it is. Isn't there something? D23 is in the summertime, but
No, there was just a D23 in Brazil, and we didn't find out.
I feel like there'll be something in February or March Disney related. They're going to announce some of the shows for the spring and the summer. They're slowly announcing. We know that the Star Wars Andor show is coming out in April.
and
Right.
we know about that that villain show that's going to be in Hollywood Studios.
But that was just a random announcement, right?
That was just a random announcement. So I think that this might be a random announcement in the spring, around the time of Epic Universe. Maybe
Okay.
they
That's
want...
not a bad idea. If they want to maybe steal a headline or two for a day on
Yeah.
Epic Universe, they announce the plans for
Or-
Monsters Inc. and even maybe their own Villains Land.
Yeah.
So the next one is we get an official closing date for Dinosaur before the end of the year. So they announced the closing of the Triceratops spin.
I was going to say, I thought they were. I thought in Disney's Twitter, I thought they were. Well, it's already been. Has it been officially announced? Dinosaur's leaving.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dinosaur is leaving. It's going to become a new story, but it's an Indiana Jones.
Right.
What's your odds on that?
So this is plus 300, so it's more likely, but still, I don't think very likely.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to get any major Disney news in the next 6 weeks.
You sure about that?
But something important to note is that basically the rest of Dinosaur Land is closing in like right after the holiday season ends. They're like Triceratops spin and all that stuff, that area, they're going to start working on that soon.
Do you
Because
think they
Triceratops
keep? Do you
Spins
think they
closes in
keep
January.
Dinosaur open for a month or two while that starts going, just to kind of keep crowd flowing?
Maybe even
There's not
longer.
enough rides there, so I think they're going to try to hold on to Dinosaur as long as they can.
Yeah.
But they also don't want to spend money on fixing a ride that's
yeah.
already,
Yeah, I would say no before the end of this year. Was this
Yeah.
just 6 weeks away? No, I would say no.
So tell us what the third one is.
The last one, I think you understand the theme now. We get a closing date for the Riverboat or Tom Sawyer Island before the end of the year. Because that would be to pair with the Cars ride, which we got a little more information on during that D23 in Brazil.
What's your
And
odds on
they also pitched more Villains Land stuff. Talked about some villains that they were actually going to feature.
Did they
Yep.
really?
Yeah, they gave a list
Yeah.
of the villains that they're going to feature.
Which
Okay.
is significant. It's like
Yeah.
20 villains.
Very cool.
What's your odds on the Riverboat?
Also plus 300.
Plus 300. So here's my thoughts on this: is that I think the Riverboat and Tom Sawyer's Island is going to close like before the summer of 2025.
Which means that they would have to announce it pretty soon, right?
Do
Yeah.
they typically announce closing dates for everything, or will it just one day be like Tom Sawyer's Island is now?
I think they're going to have to announce it.
I think they have set a precedent that they announce their
Announce a closing
dates,
date.
even if it's like only a month out.
Yeah.
Now,
And another thing to note about for Tom Sawyer Island and the Riverboat, Big Thunder Mountain's also closing right after holiday.
That's already been
season's over.
announced, hasn't it?
And it's going to be down until 2026. I am fairly certain a big reason for that is to get construction equipment
Oh yeah.
through Big Thunder Mountain and into Tom Sawyer Island. So we might be getting that date soon.
yeah.
I would still put it as no before the end of the year, but I would say if I had to pick which one I think is first, it's that one.
Okay. And now the last one, and then we'll have to pick which one of these four we're going to bet on.
Oh, I thought there was only 3. Okay, 4.
There's one more. Walls are up and work is being done in these 3 locations discussed previously, Monsters, Frontierland, and Dino USA, by the beginning of quarter 3 2025, which is July 1st, 2025. All three have work being done on it. So now we know that Dino Land is being done. So that's a gimme. So I have this at plus 200.
So I don't think Monsters. I think you have Riverboat and Dino, and I think there's going to be with the ending of Epic Universe, there's going to be a lot more options for Disney construction wise, and companies. And I think once that huge project is ending, Disney's going to start doing a lot of work. That's my theory there. So, but I don't think Monsters is going to start yet.
But they're going to have to. If it's animation, if it's the animation area, Star Wars Launch Bay, that's going, don't they have to demolish that building? Don't they have to clear that land to get ready for these construction companies?
I guess I'm still not convinced Monsters roller coaster is happening. I feel like that is the first
Part
thing
of why they haven't announced where it's going specifically is that.
Wait, do you think they announced the ride that they're not going to end up building?
Oh, they do that all the time. But I think if there's anything they're going to cut, I think that's what they're going to cut.
No shot.
Really?
No way.
I don't think they're going to cut it.
Maybe this should be the
shot.
futures.
You sure about that?
Well, let's add that one to this.
Like plus 2,000 that they end up
Monsters
canning the idea of a Monsters Inc.
Monsters roller coaster.
No shot.
Doesn't
end up happening at all.
Doesn't happen.
Well, you gotta give it an end date
Doesn't happen
by 2028.
You would need. I think you would need something like another pandemic to shut down something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can pandemic proof this by saying Monsters roller coaster construction doesn't start until after 2027 or not at all.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty unlikely. I'll give you plus 600 on that if you want to take that one.
That's it. Sean was offering plus 2,000.
I'd still give him plus 2,000. That's a waste of his money.
So then let's split the
1,200
difference and call it plus 1,100.
1,100. Okay.
And that's what you're taking?
Well,
I mean, this fuss about it.
Can I take 2? No, I can't take 2, right?
Well, you can take 2 in a parlay.
Ooh.
It's one bet. You got one bet. You can take 2 in a parlay.
No, I'm not taking 2 in a parlay. I think that I actually think we hear about Dino's last date, the closing date of Dino before the end of the year. I would take that bet.
Okay. Sean?
Well, I feel like I've said no to everything. So what do I have to pick one?
Yeah, you got to pick one. Or maybe we can amend one. Is there a bet that you would make hearing all this?
No. I don't think we know closings for any of them before the end of this year.
Okay, well, what if I lowered the odds and I gave you through January on one of these?
What?
Your bet has been submitted.
But you can't pick dinosaur because Shelby picked dinosaur. I'll give you Tom Sawyer
I think we
Island.
find out the closing date for Tom Sawyer Island and the Riverboat
before the end of January.
Before end of Q1 25.
Oh, that's definitely gonna happen.
Yeah, you gotta give that negative 1,100 odds.
Not negative 1,100, but yeah, it would be negative odds.
So before before that's what, before March?
I
think construction construction starts.
Quarter one ends at the end of March. I think if we don't know, something's very wrong.
What do you mean? Isn't that quarter 2?
No.
It depends on when their year starts.
Quarter 2 is March to July. March to June.
If they're a January to December company, which they probably are.
No, they're October.
Well, that's their fiscal day. But the year
quarter.
When you divide
January.
the year into quarters, January to March, then April to end of June.
What were the other options again? I've completely lost.
We're going to find out where Monsters Inc. roller coaster is going to go.
Oh.
the location, and that was before the end of the year at plus 400. I would extend it through January for lesser odds, and then the same thing with Tom Sawyer Island. I would extend for lesser odds than plus 300.
So finding out where a ride's going to go,
Where that ride is going to go, because
as opposed to when just one ride is going to close for good.
Right, that's the two. Those are those two, and then the other one is walls up and work is being done by the beginning of Q3, aka July 1st, 2025.
On all three, it has to be all three.
Work is being done on all three spots because work will be being done confirmed on Dinosaur starting in.
I'm going to take that
January.
one. I think so.
Okay,
I think so.
and
Yeah, I like that one. I don't think they have much time to dilly dally with Epic Universe. I think they have to open up in 2026. All these things have to open up in 2026.
shovels in the dirt, absolutely. And I'm gonna pick Tom Sawyer Island. We're gonna find
Sawyer
out
Island.
when Tom Sawyer Island or the riverboat is gonna stop operating.
Okay, so you're Tom Sawyer Island. I am Dinoland, and Sean is
working all the three locations we discussed. There will be shovels in dirt by July 1
will commence by the end.
of by end
July
of June
1st.
/ July 1st.
The beginning of Q3.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's plus 200, and I think we're both plus 300s.
Okay.
So if they all hit, me and Shobi tie.
Then we have to maybe go
We'll
with
come up with an official tiebreaker.
Yeah. All right.
How many times in 2025 will Andrew go to Disney World? I don't even think he knows that yet.
Won't I just be able to change that myself?
Well, it depends on what your answer was.
I'm
the time
forced.
we-
I'm forced to take 0.
Okay, Sean, you want to take us home?
Thanks for listening to another episode of the ReedyGeeks podcast. Like, rate, and subscribe where you get your podcasts. Check us out on all our socials at ReedyGeeks. And any questions, comments, concerns, or future topic ideas, email us at reedygeeks@gmail.com. We'll see you next time.
Missed it by that much.
This week's Honest Send-Off comes courtesy of Maxwell from Washington, D.C. If you have an honest send-off that you want played at the end of one of our episodes, please submit an audio clip to us via our email address, reedygeeks@gmail.com. Reedy Geeks, a Walt Disney World podcast, is hosted and executive produced by Andrew Shopi, Sean Murphy, and JJ Hefner. Music and audio engineering by JJ Hefner.
Bon voyage.